Welcome, everyone, to Rutgers at the Voice of College Football. I'm here with my fantastic co-host, Gabriel Pickup, and we have a great show for you here tonight. As always, if you like that show, hit that like and subscribe button. So tonight, we're going to start off, as always, with our pick updates, and then we're going to talk about what's happening in 17 days, and that is the first game of the season against the Ohio Bobcats at Shea Stadium. And then we're going to talk about the MVP predictions for this year's Rutgers team. So, Gabe, start us off with those pick updates.
Yes, sir. So, pick updates number, I lost track. First update is, do you want an update about watch lists or do you want some roster news?
Both.
All right, I'll go with the watch list first. So, DT Sheffield is on the Biletnikoff Award watch list, which recognizes college football's most outstanding receiver. Gus Zelinskas is on the Remington Trophy watch list, which is given to the most outstanding center. And Kenny Fletcher is on the John Mackey Award watch list, which is given to the top tight end. So we have three guys that are in the best at their position watch lists.
Well, what do you mean the most? What's with the center being on a watch list? What does the center do? Don't they just sit there and
they're the first one to get the ball? What do you mean? What does the center do?
I've never heard of a center winning an award, but hey, it is what it is.
There's an award for every position, from quarterback to long snapper to return man. There's something for everything. So yeah, very happy for them. Any of them you think have a decent shot?
DT Sheffield.
Yeah, you think even with the diversity in the wide receiver room?
Yeah, I think he's explosive, and I think that he's going to really stand out for Rutgers, and he's going to be difficult to cover. So I see him really emerging as a star for the Scarlet Knights, and I do see their wide receiving core being, they have pretty good depth there. So when you combine that with a really good running back room, Rutgers has the opportunity, if that offensive line can click, to have a really good offense.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I think he has the talent to be a possible best receiver in college football. Does he have the commands in terms of targets to receive that award? That's what I'm waiting to see, especially with a sophomore receiver in Ohio State that had a very killer freshman year.
Would that be somebody by the name of Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah, and I'm very much looking forward not to facing him this year.
He's a generational player, and he's going to have an amazing year for the Buckeyes, although I do not think the Buckeyes repeat as national champions this year.
Oh, well, the AP polls came out, actually, and they were ranked third behind Penn State and Texas.
Texas, I think, has a legitimate shot. Penn State, no.
Yeah, I mean, I think Penn State, they lost too much talent on both sides of the ball. I mean, granted, they have Drew Aller and Nick Singleton still, but, yeah.
They lost Cam Miller.
They did lose Cam Miller. That is a very, very key loss for them, I must say.
All right, so what other updates you got for us today?
Yeah, so we got some roster updates. We're losing three guys, and we have one guy coming. Although the three guys we're losing aren't to another team, but it's to their own decision about their football careers, unfortunately. But that goes tight end Victor Konopka, interior offensive lineman Nicky Wynn, and long snapper Caleb Johnson have, quotes, all decided that it is not in their best interest to continue with the program, per Yahoo Sports.
Does that mean they're retiring, or does that mean they were looking elsewhere?
They're not entering the portal. Well, I guess it's a little too late for that anyways. So
we wish them the best of luck in whatever endeavors they choose to pursue.
Absolutely, unless they go to a rival Big Ten school.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got one addition, though, by the name of Dane Partridge. Transfers to Rutgers from Northern Illinois. 2 years of eligibility still remaining. He's a solid replacement with Fama Toure suffering the season-ending injury in the spring game. And another thing about Partridge, we have DT Sheffield, who can also play special teams, as he has shown at North Texas. But Dane Partridge also returned 20 punts for 152 yards and a touchdown last year, while catching 28 balls for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns per SI.com.
So he's coming from Northern Illinois. Is that the Salukis? I think that's what they call the Northern Illinois football team.
Question: Northern Illinois Salukis?
I think it's Salukis.
No, it's just the Huskies.
It must be Southern Illinois then.
Southern Illinois. I've never heard of such a Southern Illinois. Yeah, Salukis. What is a Saluki?
Hopefully he'll be a good addition to the team. Any other updates before we turn to something happening in 17 days, first game of the season?
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see, how Shiano schemes the special teams. I'm kind of thinking you have DT return kicks whenever there is a kick to return nowadays, and Partridge returning punts. But no other updates. No, that's it for the very brief pick updates.
But always good, and we appreciate it, Gabe, every week. So let's turn to our second segment. Now, the college football season is now upon us. It's August 11th, 5 days before the death of Elvis Presley, unfortunately. 17 days before Rutgers' first game of the year on a Thursday evening against the Ohio Bobcats at Shea Stadium. So we're going to preview this game, and for our viewers, we just want to let you know that when the season begins, we're going to be live both before and immediately after every game with commentary, predictions, previews, and ultimately a discussion of the performance after the game. So, the Ohio Bobcats, what do you think about this matchup, Gabe?
They're a very underrated program. A lot of people think that just because they're not Ohio State, then they automatically suck. And that includes Vegas. I mean, we're listed as the 14.5-point favorites per BetMGM. I'm not going to lie. I don't think we win by more than 10 points. I do believe we will win. Ohio State, like I said, they're coming off a great year. They won 7 in a row to end the year to finish 11-3. They haven't had much luck in their recruiting portal, but they have a lot of guys returning. Rutgers got better defensively, more versatile on offense. So I was writing this down, and my prediction is somewhere in the 30-21 type of range, 33-26, something like that.
Yeah, that's fair. Now, I spent 3 years in the great state of Ohio when I went to law school at Ohio State University from 1998 to 2000, and I remember living in Columbus quite well. And I remember that there are also other schools in Ohio, although when you're at Ohio State, you don't tend to think that there are. They actually have some good programs there. University of Toledo, also Youngstown State, a traditional powerhouse. Cincinnati, and the Ohio Bobcats. The Ohio Bobcats are nothing to sneeze at. Last year, 11-3 record in the MAC. They won the Cure Bowl, defeating Jacksonville State. So let's look at their offense. Offense starts with the enigmatic Parker Navarro.
Yeah.
When I say enigmatic, I mean, look, this Ohio team is something, not to take lightly. They are a good team, and they can pose challenges to Rutgers. On offense, we've got Parker Navarro coming back. Last year, 2,400 yards passing, ran for over 1,000 yards, too.
Yeah. Did you see 18 rushing touchdowns?
Yeah, 18 rushing touchdowns, but he was prone to interceptions. I believe he had 11 interceptions last year. So at the wide receiver spots, Chase Hendricks and Rodney Harris, who had a combined 63 receptions last year, returned for the Bobcats. The big question on the offense is going to be the offensive line. The offensive line needs to be reworked, so we'll see how that plays out, particularly against a Rutgers defensive line that should be really improved and put pressure on the quarterback. On the defensive side, the Ohio Bobcats, nothing to take lightly. Like I said, last year, 9th in the nation in total defense and 4th in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game at 91. Now, where does Ohio, really need to work on? Their defensive front, because they lost most of their players, and one of the players that they lost was Bradley Weaver, who's now a Scarlet Knight. So this is, the first game of the season is really going to be a tough game, and it's going to be a good barometer of where Rutgers is, particularly because, look, they've got a lot of transfers. So how is this team going to come together? Are they going to be a team, and how are they going to start the season? I'm going to predict a Rutgers victory 31-21.
We think very similarly there, because I said no more than 10 points. You have them at 10 points in terms of a victory. So when I was making this prediction, I took a look at Parker Navarro's quarterback stats, because as a quarterback, you think how good are they at throwing the ball? And I saw mediocrity mixed with a high completing percentage and some decent yards, rating of 142. What completely overshadowed me was the fact that he had 1,000 yards rushing and 18 rushing touchdowns. That is ridiculous. If someone does that in the NFL, it's all time. Granted, I know it's nowhere near the same level of competition, but the fact that you're throwing, you're throwing 11 interceptions, but you're not afraid to run with the ball either. So it's a dangerous dynamic in terms of how he is as a player. They don't have much of a rushing game, it looks like. Their number one rusher, C.A. Bangura, I believe I'm pronouncing that right. He had a solid 2023 campaign, 178 attempts for 811 yards, 7 touchdowns, 18 catches for 160 yards and a touchdown, 2 fumbles all year. Last year, he didn't play. It looks like he was injured. He only had 4 attempts for 12 yards. And in terms of their receiving crew, Chase Hendricks, who's their best receiver, he only had 1 touchdown reception. So if your best receiver only has 1 touchdown reception, and that's in his 2 years of playing, because in 2023 he had 11 for 108, no touchdowns, that's saying that we're going to have to contain Mr. Navarro. And that is the key. Can we contain him with our inner 4?
Well, I think that's going to be – that's why I think the first game is going to be a real test for the Scarlet Knights, because – Ohio is traditionally, a respectable team. They're in the MAC, but they can compete, and they do have a good defense, and they have a dual threat quarterback. So what did we talk about on many shows? We talked about the defensive line is going to have speed and size and disrupt the quarterback. Okay, so this is going to be a test for them to see, number one, how those transfers and how the new look for Rutgers plays out, and whether they are cohesive as a team and are able to, really shut them down. I think it's going to be a game where I could see Rutgers up about 21-3 at the half, and then I could see Ohio with a strong third quarter, but Rutgers ultimately pulling away with a late touchdown, couple late touchdowns by Ethan Kaliakmanis. So, that's going to be kind of the bellwether about, where is this Rutgers team? And I think what we're going to take away from that game, if I had to predict it, would be there's some really good things, but there's things that need to be worked on.
Yeah, the only part that kind of scares me outside of Navarro's scrambling ability is the fact that you look at their offense, and it's kind of the polar opposite of our defense. They have 9 of their 11 players on offense in their starting projections returning to the team. The only 2 that are transferring are their left guard, Josh Waite, and running back, C.A. Bangura.
Right.
Like I said, Bangura is a complete wild card because he was injured all of last year. We don't know how he's going to perform, especially because of the fact that they already have a running quarterback. Usually, unless you're doing RPO, there's not much success with running backs when they're paired up with a running quarterback in college football.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, like we've been saying on previous shows, how Rutgers defense goes, so does the team this year. So it's going to be a test for the defense. I also think it's going to be a test for the offense. We've got a great running back room. We've got depth at wide receiver. How's the offensive line going to, hold up against their defensive front? So we'll see if Rutgers can win the physicality game and ultimately cause enough problems for Navarro to force him into turnovers and, disrupt his timing and come out with a victory, which I think they will.
That's what is key to me is, Navarro, he's going to get his running yards, probably at least 60 of them. he's going to get some passing yards. I'm saying he's probably going to get at least 150 passing yards. He might get 2 touchdowns. Hopefully that's the max. But to me, the key is, are we going to force turnovers against a guy who threw 11 interceptions last year? And if that is the case, then I think that's a great sign for us moving forward. If we can get multiple interceptions off of him, including on a final drive where he has a chance to make it either a game again or he can tie it, he can take the lead. That final drive and another turnover before that, to me, is like kind of a sign of where this year could go in terms of the defense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a bit of a messy game where both sides are going to have turnovers. But I think in the end, Rutgers is just a better team. And I think they come out on top against, a legitimate Ohio team that last year went 11-3, and this year is predicted to also contend for the MAC championship. So it should be an exciting day, August 28th. Yeah. And we're going to be going live before the game and after the game to really preview and then discuss Rutgers' performance in their opening game of the season. And then heading into the next week against Miami of Ohio, then Norfolk State, and then the all-important game against the Hawkeyes of Iowa.
It's just crazy to me that looking at this Ohio wide receiver room, the top 3 guys have 1 combined touchdown reception, and that's from Chase Hendricks.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like Rodney Harris, 23 receptions, 289 receiving yards. Caleb Gossett, he has, he has 16 receptions, 158 yards, no touchdowns. And then, like I said, Chase Hendricks, 40 for 471, 1 touchdown. And their tight end only has 2 touchdowns. So who the hell was – I mean, look, I'm sure they lost a lot of offensive talent, but it looks like of their starters, a bunch of their starters are ones that are returning. So they're next up in line, it seems.
Yeah, this game is not going to be a blowout, but I think this game is going to be – at times it's going to be close, I think, particularly in the third quarter. But I just think Rutgers' talent, the home field advantage, we come out 1-0.
We just got to do enough on offense. As long as we can do enough, we should win this game. And I don't think that Vegas has it right, though, with us being 14.5-point favorites. I would say like anywhere between like 8.5 and 10.5.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. And it's funny because I'm predicting a Rutgers win. I can't predict a New York Yankees win anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, dude, I'm a Mets fan. I think we have 2 of the 3 worst records since like June, the Mets and Yankees combined. Jason, oh wow, what a prediction that is! 41-13. I mean, hey, it's not impossible, but that would be beautiful.
Jason O knows Rutgers football, very smart guy, and I'll tell you, he might be right. The only reason I don't go that far is because I want to see how are the new players, meshing together. Especially after the spring game, in which the defense had some struggles against this, AJ Serace. Let's see, but he might be right.
It's like with the New York Jets, you can't get your hopes up every year and expect things to change because that
Jets fans get their hopes up.
Yeah, that would be the definition of insanity.
I've never. Yeah, the Jets were good. Weren't the Jets good under Bill Parcells?
They were good under Parcells. They were decent under Rex Ryan. Some of our best years in recent history.
Who is the coach now for the Jets?
Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator for the Lions. Which, hey, man, this is our year.
So why? I have no reason to talk.
Austin says 31-17 Rutgers. That seems within reason. Not saying this won't happen. I'm just surprised by the usually blowouts. Like you can predict a blowout, but no one actually says the score will be a blowout. Like all the experts, like they'll be like, "Oh, it's like 38-21, like kind of a blowout," but they'll never actually outright say 41-13.
The only way we run into trouble is if Navarro, runs for 150 yards and it really keeps us off balance. But
worst case scenario, Navarro runs for 150, throws for 250, gets 2 touchdowns passing, 2 touchdowns rushing. And yeah, hell yeah, Jets legend Aaron Glenn, that is. Do you want to move on to our award predictions?
Yeah, so that's our initial preview of Ohio. We're going to go into more depth in a couple of weeks about Ohio, but we move on to our third segment, which is we're going to predict who are going to be the MVPs this year for the Scarlet Knights. and we're going to go by position. So, Gabe, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so my MVP, because I actually have it as MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then I got Transfer Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year. And I have some honorary mentions for the award of Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's just because our depth chart is very much lacking freshmen that it's sort of an honorary award. My MVP, though, and I don't just say this because he's a quarterback. I say this because I think he's going to have that freaking good of a year. My MVP is Ethan Kaliakmanis. I wanted to say DT at first, but then I thought, is Ethan really going to only use DT Sheffield? Hell no. He's going to use KJ Duff. He's going to use Ian Strong. He's going to use Kenny Fletcher, who is on the watch list of, let me scroll back up here, the John Mackey Award watch list. I am embarrassed that I didn't remember that by name because John Mackey is a legend. He's going to be throwing it to Colin Weber, and he's going to be throwing it to CJ Campbell, who gets 20, 30 receptions every time it seems like you talk about him and what he can do this year. That's the numbers you're talking about. So, no, I think DT is going to have a fantastic year. But I think it's going to be Ethan who is the most valuable. Another honorary mention, Eric O'Neill. And he's going to be like the anchor of that defense. But Ethan to me is going to have he's going to have a really good year. I'm not attributing it to wins and losses because I don't want to get my hopes up. But like I said, MVP, Ethan Kaliakmanis.
Okay, that's a fair point. So this was a tough one for me because I'm not sure. My concern about Ethan Kaliakmanis, great guy, great team player, great skills, great arm, with some great plays last year. My concern with him is consistency and completion percentage in particular. And when I look at the schedule, Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, at Washington, at Illinois,
Minnesota,
Minnesota, and PJ Fleck, I worry that he will improve, but with that kind of a schedule, we might see some of those inconsistencies again. I hope that's not the case. So I'm going to go with Eric O'Neill as the MVP for the Scarlet Knights. I think that he's explosive. I think he's a difference maker and could be a game changer for that defensive front.
I was really debating between Ethan and Eric O'Neill. So when you were talking about how we're facing a tougher schedule defensively, do you think our offense got better this year, at least our receiving room?
On paper, the offense looks better. I mean, we lost Monongai, of course, but when you got C.J. Campbell, Antoine Raymond, Jashawn Benjamin, and then look at the receiving core. You got D.T. Sheffield coming in from North Texas. You got K.J. Duff. You got depth. So on paper, I think that they are better than last year. The question is going to be, how are they going to perform on game day, when they're at Illinois, when they're going against that tough Penn State defense, that tough Iowa defense. And after last year, it's difficult to predict. What I'm going to guess is that it's going to be better, but it's not going to get over the hump. So I think we're still going to have a couple of close losses that we might say we should have won. And I'm looking at a 6, 7, maybe 8 win season.
Yeah, I hear you. I just think that his statistics are going to be enough to make him our MVP this year. But
you might be right.
When I talk about Offensive Player of the Year, I have a different guy, and that's not because of I'm illogical. It's just that's how a lot of leagues do it, like the NFL. The MVP and Offensive Player of the Year always seem to differ for whatever logical reasons and sense that makes. But my Offensive Player of the Year is DT Sheffield because, it should go unsaid, right? He's easily the best receiver. He's easily the best non-quarterback on the entire offense. And a lot of people, including myself, think he's the best talent on the offense. So I think it's pretty much undoubtable that he's going to be our Offensive Player of the Year.
That's a totally legitimate choice, and certainly that may be the case. But as much as I love DT Sheffield and think he's going to have a great year, I think one of the running backs are going to be stars this year. And I kind of gravitate between CJ Campbell and Antoine Raymond. I think that one of them is going to have a breakout year and could be the MVP. So I'm going to, at this point, go with CJ Campbell as MVP.
For the offense. For the offense.
Offense.
So defense, I'm guessing you're going to repeat Eric O'Neal for defensive player of the year.
Yes, Eric O'Neal, we want you on the show. Okay. James Madison, what a great school. Everywhere Eric O'Neal has played, he has been a standout. He will continue to do that for the Scarlet Knights, and that defensive line and that defense generally is going to be substantially improved from last year. And I think that if they execute the way that they're capable of, this team can really push 8, even maybe 9 wins.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's named to the the Lot Impact Trophy watch list, I believe is the name. I'm scrolling through here because there's so many freaking watch lists. I just remember him being named to it. Anybody that's put on a watch list, on a Rutgers team at least, deserves a fair shot at the defensive player of the year if you're on defense. And like his numbers are outrageous, 13.5 sacks, I believe it was last year. And like I remember Adam, we were discussing him as a transfer, and we were saying like, how much can we attribute to that being the JMU competition versus his talent? Well, it looks like all these experts are saying it's really just that he's that talented.
Yeah, because if you look at his statistics, even at James Madison, they're just outstanding. And everywhere he's played, his statistics have been, elite. And when you just don't look at where the person went to school, you look at how talented the person is. And he's got the explosiveness, the speed, and I think he's going to be a real disruptor on that defensive front. And if we disrupt the quarterback, we have a good year.
Yeah, 100%. And so that is the reason why I also have Eric O'Neal as the transfer player of the year.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that you look at like who you build a team around and, who's a number 1 NFL draft pick, who gets mentioned as possible captains of the team. And it's really just that DT is a victim of his position in this case, because I was obviously between DT and Eric O'Neal because those are the 2 transfers for this award. And it's just that DT is a victim of his position. Unfortunately, he can make every spectacular catch imaginable, have a fantastic year, and people will say, how much of that was the quarterback? And vice versa for Ethan. People will say how much of it was his receiving corps. For Eric O'Neal, the year that he has, nobody will doubt the year that he has. No matter if it's bad, he'll get the heat. If it's good, he'll get the praise. So it's really, look, Eric, it's your own standing, basically. No matter what you do, you will get what you deserve in terms of the public response. So I believe that he's going to have a good year, and because of that, I think he'll be the transfer player of the year for Rutgers.
I think he will be too, but you can't discount Cam Miller coming from the Nittany Lions. I think he's going to be a lockdown corner, and I think he's going to be a star.
And also shout out to Jet Elad too. I mean, apparently another case reopened for his eligibility, but I don't think it's going anywhere if it hasn't yet. So assuming that Jet plays, he's going to have a fantastic year.
The UNLV transfer will be a good safety for Rutgers. And then I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I hope I am. Jabome and the linebacker spot is going to be, probably leading the team in tackles. So it's really great to have a discussion where, in the context of MVP on the defense, we're talking about multiple players. That bodes well for Rutgers.
So I have one more official award here, and then an honorary thing. Because
is that for me? The honorary thing is for me?
You know that you're always the most honored. Everybody loves you. Sometimes. Anyways, comeback player of the year. Now, I only put this one in here because it's an official NFL award. It's an official football award in general, because every other sport will do most improved player of the year. But we decided to be fancy and do comeback player of the year, which is similarly different. My comeback player of the year, only because it's tough to say for college football because everyone either leaves or is starting anew. But I have Doug Blue Eli because he had a very similar year last year, if not a step down in terms of his productivity. and now we know for a fact he's going to be on the front, and he's going to be an impact player, especially if people are doubling Eric O'Neal. And he's from Jersey, so he's going to want to play for his home here. But 2023 for USF, 19 tackles, 10 assisted, 9 solo. 2024, 17 tackles, 5 solo, 12 assisted. So that is 38 tackles versus 34 tackles. He had a forced fumble in 2023, but no forced fumble last year. He had an interception last year. Awesome enough.
Yeah.
But basically with him, it's kind of like he kind of stayed the same, maybe got it smidge worse. So because of that, I technically say he's eligible for the award.
That's fair enough. Now, wasn't Jabome injured last year?
Jabome did get injured.
Yeah, and he was out for how many games was he out for? I think he was out for.
I do not remember. Because I was only looking at his numbers, not his games played.
I'm going to put him as the comeback player of the year. I think he's immensely talented, and I think he's going to come back from the injury, and I think he's going to anchor that linebacking core. And I just think he's going to lead. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, Jabome last year, I don't know if you can call it comeback when last year he had 105 tackles.
Oh, so I'm playing up the injury too much, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he was, still making his impact regardless.
Well, I like the pick from South Florida because in 2023, what'd you say, 19 tackles?
Yeah,
I think that he's going to be. I think he's someone who we haven't talked about enough, but I think that's a legit choice. But I'm still going to say Jabome because the injury qualifies him as a comeback player because, hey, he's coming off an injury. But Kenny Fletcher, Jason, another great choice.
Yeah, it is a great choice. My only question is, Kenny Fletcher or Colin Weber. It's very 50-50. Kenny Fletcher is listed as the starter. I think they're both very solid. But a lot of people will say that we got Colin Weber for him to start. So it's really tough. But, the thing is, it's tough for Kenny Fletcher because last year he had 20 receptions, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. The numbers don't do his talent justice, but the years prior, it's I'm on ESPN right now, and I don't see anything for years prior. Unless, Max Preps, didn't transfer some data or something. I'm missing something. But, yeah, so that's it for the official awards. I wanted to give an honorary mention award for Offensive Rookie of the Year because that is an award in the NFL. I'm going with Vernon Allen III. I was between him and Michael Thomas. And Michael Thomas is higher on the depth chart, but Vernon Allen with the amazing spring game kind of showed that he's capable of playing even alongside his second-string quarterback in A.J. Surratt, who I was like, look, talent-wise, Surratt might be the best, but obviously, unless Ethan gets injured, he's not going to play this year.
Hey, I respect that, and we'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be, this is one of those seasons for Rutgers where it's hard to predict because if you look at the roster and you look at what they have on the offensive, defensive side, especially on the defensive front, they can compete with any team. Are they going to be consistent, though? That's what I keep coming back to. Will they be consistent week to week? I think what we're going to see about Rutgers and their season is when they play Iowa. If they win at home against Iowa, then I think they go to Minnesota, they go to Illinois with the confidence to at least split those games. But they're going to have to win that Iowa game, or else I think it's going to be kind of like last year when, I believe they were 4-0 and lost to Nebraska 14-7. They got to get over the hump and win that game and get that confidence and be the kind of a team and the kind of a unit that believes and that can have consistency, in those tough environments they're going to play in.
Yeah, for sure. And one last award I got here is honorary mention, Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I am giving this one to Sam Robinson because he is listed as backup middle linebacker, and we run a 4-2-5 set. But, if there's any scheme changes because of injury, then Sam Robinson will be starting as the secondary middle linebacker. And unfortunately, if injury were to occur to Jabome again, then Sam Robinson would step right in. He is the only freshman listed as a second-string player on the defense. I did want to shout out also Kamar Archie, who is next in line to Sam Robinson, but Robinson earned the second-string spot. So that's who I'm going with, is Sam Robinson.
Fair enough.
And that is all I got for the awards.
It's exciting, isn't it, Gabe? It's going to be, one of those seasons. Last year everyone thought, oh, this is Rutgers' year. They have a favorable schedule, a lot of returning players, but the injuries killed them. I think this year, actually, the prospects are probably just as good, even though it's a tougher schedule. We do have the kind of team and the kind of defensive line that I think, can pull out some wins that we didn't pull out last year. I don't see another Wisconsin happening. I don't see another last-second loss to Illinois.
We have puzzle pieces, but we don't have all the connecting puzzle pieces.
Well, all I have to say is Iowa. Iowa's going to be, is going to tell us where Rutgers is going, and I can't wait to preview that game and have some guests on from the Hawkeyes who are going to help us preview it together.
I mean, I can tell you right now that in terms of this Ohio game, I will be overreacting no matter what the result is, because this game matters a lot for setting the tone. It's supposed to be an easy win for us, but Ohio is a lot better of a school than people will give them credit for.
Yeah.
In the same way that we have felt all spring and summer that we are a better school than people give us credit for. Ohio feels the same way. They had a great year last year. So we'll have to see what happens. No matter what, I will be taking everything away from that game and pretty much applying it to, it is that deep, it is that serious. How can we change?
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you completely, and that's going to be a great show. I think Ohio's not coming in thinking they're the underdogs. Ohio's coming in here to win.
Yeah.
And they're not going to, just get steamrolled.
So they want a statement win too, so we really have to bring our A game.
Yeah, and I think Shiano's going to have them ready. And I think that it's going to be an exciting Thursday night, and we're looking forward to having a great show and welcoming everybody and their comments and their thoughts on what is going to be a very exciting 2025 season for the Scarlet Knights.
Yeah, I'm very excited. First year live, or I guess technically not live, but immediate reactions. I'm looking forward to going on tangents with you, and 17.
And, before you were the co-host, I actually did a live show after the USC game, and that was Pacific time. So by the time the show started, it was like 2:30 in the morning.
Hey, Ethan looked good. Ethan looked good that game.
I think he did too, and I think that they played hard. They were just beat by a better team, but I think this year you're going to see a defense that is so improved that there's going to be a lot of close games, and Rutgers is going to need to do those little things, those intangibles, to pull out those victories in those tight games.
Yeah. So that's it for the awards, though.
All right. So, any final thoughts for this week's version of Rutgers at the Voice of College Football?
No, man. The only thing I'll have to say is hopefully we can get past that Ohio game with ease, and Miami of Ohio should be an even bigger ease. Same for Norfolk State. I didn't even know they had a football program. We have to take advantage of the quote-unquote gimmies of the year.
I don't think they do have a football program. I think that they're going to just be getting people from the area.
Recruiting them?
And bring, yeah, right. Hey, Pit Snipe Husker, nice to see you. Thanks for being here. Happy Monday to you, too. Yeah, my final thought on the show is just that, look, the college football offseason is the longest offseason in any sport, and I am so thrilled that it's only 17 days before we kick off what is going to be a really, really exciting year. And, it's going to be great to have these shows every week, previewing the teams that we're playing and really assessing the team's performance. And Jason O says Norfolk State band is awesome. Hey, you know what? Don't take any band or any team lightly. So you never know what can happen. But it's going to be an exciting year, and I'm counting down the days until we have our first show on game day.
And guys, these are some of the links to some of our social media channels that we just started a couple of weeks ago, actually. So it would be nice if you guys could follow because they are very much still in the works. The numbers may not look sexy right now, but one thing's for certain, we're not stopping the posting. And that's what matters most. I think that that's what will help you guys believe in us. And in turn, that'll help us grow better and stronger too.
Absolutely. And we're here to celebrate and support Rutgers football. So if you like the show, hit that like and subscribe button. And, we look forward to seeing you all next week. And then for the all-important opening week, when we preview the Bobcats. So to all of you out there, thanks for joining us. Go Scarlet Knights. And we will see you, as always, next Monday at 7 p.m. But when the season starts, we're going to have games. We're going to have shows, before and after each game. So we'll let you know when that's going to happen. And we hope you'll be here to join us. Thanks so much. Go Scarlet Knights. We'll see you next week.